Hello guys and welcome to my new video. So today, with all of the latest changes that are happening for BfA Azeroth class redesign and basically the thoughts behind the class redesign by Blizzard, they posted a new post basically to developers Watercooler, BfA Azeroth Class Design Overview, and then after that there were a lot of the class changes that data mined by various sites, and people are kind of panicking and they're like, oh my god, these things are changing, my class is changing, it's becoming worse and worse. We'll be looking at some of the class changes. We won't be looking at all of them because a lot of the spell changes, they will change a million times before the expansion is released. We'll be looking at some of the design changes that are backed up by their post on the website, the BfA Azeroth Class Design Overview. And I've read this, I've looked at it multiple times, I've read the people's views on this, and it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm going to kind of summarize it. So first of all, what they're basically saying, a very short summary of this, they want classes to feel more unique. They want classes to bring buffs that other classes can't. Right now, there really isn't such a thing. So they want classes to have, you know, abilities like Arcane Intellect. Arcane Intellect that's actually being brought back. They want classes to have things like Power Word Fortitude, which increases raid stamina. They want to have all of these class abilities that are specific to your class, but does not make your class OP. So this cycle, it's a cycle. It happened before. In previous expansions, things like Battle Lich King, you had utility classes. You had classes that brought crazy buffs, but were terrible at DPS. Things like Elemental Shamans, that brought in a totem, they increased spell power of your party or your group. Not your raid, but actually if you're like in group 2 in your raid, you would buff that group's spell power. So you had Elemental Shaman and you had like Warlocks and Mages in there. And Elemental Shaman would do like mid to bottom tier DPS, but their utility was so crazy that it was worth bringing one. But usually only one to buff other range classes. So we had these kind of like really unique classes that brought unique buffs, abilities, that, you know, it kind of worked to some extent. Other classes were crazy good at a single target, crazy good at AoE. We had like, you know, the pure DPS, the hybrid DPS. The hybrid DPSs were worse than the pure DPS, but the hybrid DPS would bring more utility to kind of try and make up for it. And after that, everyone in Legion were like, okay, in Legion we're gonna have, you know, no more unique class abilities. None of that. We're just gonna make everyone kind of equal. Class abilities are gone. And now we're gonna try and balance your DPS, your healing, your tanking. And it kind of worked. This no, not kind of, it worked. Look at the damage meters, look at the healing logs, look at the tanking logs. The class balance right now is probably the best it's ever been. It's not perfect. There are classes who are doing better than others, but nothing compared to previous expansions. Nothing compared to Rattle Lich King or like WoD or whatever. Nothing compared to those. Like, the class balance is by far the best it's ever been by this game. And that's probably due to because they increased the development size. Maybe there's more people working on this and they, like, you know, they're doing a better job. Quicker, faster, and better. So with this new change of making classes unique. So when they say making classes unique, they look at things like what kind of DPS your class is doing. Are you crazy good at single target? Are you crazy good at AoE? We want to kind of make that more prevalent. Like right now, there are classes so great at AoE. Shadow Priests, Boomkins are great at AoE, multi-dotting and things like that. They're really good at that. And you can look at logs and they're doing great on fights, on AoE fights, but their single target is not great. So to some extent, that's already there in the game. It's already there in the game. I don't know if Blizzard wants to make that more noticeable, as in balanced druids will be crazy good at AoE, but really, really bad at single target, but they're also bringing an additional buff to account for that. And therefore they will be invited in the raid or a group. It feels like they want to make certain classes really great at, like, you know, different types of DPS, different types of tanking, different types of healing. So this is really interesting as well, because they're talking about different utility provided by healers. And we can go back a long time in World of Warcraft history to look at the utility of healers. Right now you can kind of say that, first of all, there is utility provided by one healing classes or two healing classes. First of all, Holy Paladins have kept their unique ability of being the best tank healers since forever. So they're not going to change. They already have this utility that Blizzard is looking for. To some extent, Resto Shamans have always had this, like, you know, area of effect, circle healing, grouped up, stacked up healing, and kind of a utility role. They always kind of had this. So you can argue right now that there are two classes that bring this utility that cannot be matched by anyone else out there. So they're fine. So they're probably not going to be changed. But then you look at things like, okay, to some extent, druids. They're hot healing, mobility healing is, you know, they're considered those kind of healers. But are they going to make that more noticeable? Like for fights where there's heavy movement, maybe all the other healer movement abilities or heals are going to be reduced. They can only cast while standing still. And druids are going to be the only ones that can cast while on the move. Or things like that. Are they going to make it more noticeable? Because right now, like, you know, druids can heal on the move, but a lot of other classes have abilities that allow them to heal on the move as well. Spirit Walker's Grace and things like that. Light of the Marath of Holy Paladins. So the utility is there, but it's not crazy evident. And then you look at things like Disc Priest. That's the biggest issue right now, because Disc Priest before used to be the only absorb healer. Or well, Paladins used to do something like that in WoD as well. But they used to be the absorb healer, and that brought so much issues. Because absorb healing is so hard. It's so hard to make unique and not overpowered. Absorb healing is basically like, you know, you don't care about when the damage is going to come in. Your absorb is going to heal for 100%. It's like, it's so hard to make it not overpowered. And I feel like if they're going to make classes unique, this priest has to go for absorb healer or maybe tank healing role. Because I really, really want to see a second tank healer who can like, you know, compete with Holy Paladin. Holy Paladin is like, you know, you have to have one right now. So this priest would probably go somewhere between absorb healer or tank healer. Holy Priest will probably go back into, like, you know, jack of all trades, but worse than everyone else at their specific niche kind of deal. Like, you know, maybe they'll have healing on the movement, maybe they'll have single target heals and AoE heals, but they won't be as good as, like, you know, Shaman on stacked healing and things like that. Maybe they'll go back into that. They kind of were always like this. Mistweavers is like, I don't know where Mistweavers are gonna fall into this, because they will basically have to look at a complete new redesign for Mistweavers, or give them a new niche, because right now they're kind of in between of everything. I'm not sure how Blizzard is going to make classes unique at something, like really strong at certain aspect in the game, and not make them, like, you know, mandatory for raids or really weak for raids. I mean at the end of the day, if you're going to make a healer that's single target, that's only great at single target healing, you can't make a raid that has all AoE. Or like, to the same aspect, if you have a DPS that's really great at single target and make a raid with a lot of ads spawning and things like that. Of course, there are examples where, like, a single target healer will be mandatory for tank healing, or a single target DPS, no matter what, no matter how many ads there are, there's going to be priority ads. And the priority ads are best dealt with by a good single target DPS. So there are always, I mean, there's always places where classes can fit in. But from the blog post, from what I've read, it seems that they want to make classes unique to the unique gameplay, unique abilities, but at the same time not feel overpowered or not feel mandatory. And this is, in my opinion, this is going to be really, really hard. First, like I mentioned before, it's a cycle. It happened before. Why are they doing this again? Obviously, they're doing this again because they want to keep the game fresh. It's something similar to like League of Legends new season. They want you to experience a game in a new way. They don't want you to get bored of it. They want new classes to feel unique again. They don't want to completely change the classes, but they want them to feel fresh. And, like, you know, there might be reworks to how the classes work. There might be reworks to how the healers work, the tanks work. Maybe how healing works. Maybe how DPS is going to work and things like that. But it's really interesting to see that they're going back to the same way. In my personal opinion, like I mentioned before, the class balance has been really great in this expansion. Legion has provided a really good class balance. And if Blizzard said this like a couple of years ago that they want to make classes more unique and not feel overpowered or underpowered, I would say there's no way they can do it, because in the previous expansions, class balance was terrible. And introducing unique buffs and making them balanced, it's going to be extremely, extremely hard. But I believe that Blizzard can do it, because in Legion, I'm convinced that they can do it. From Legion experience, I'm convinced they can do it. I feel that they have the team to actually give unique buffs and make the classes not overpowered, underpowered. But also maybe they can go a different way. Maybe they can provide certain classes that are going to be utility classes, like I mentioned before, like Elemental Shamans back in the day, that give really strong, unique buffs. But maybe the DPS is not that great, or healing is not that great, but those buffs are going to kind of even out the playing field. Like, there's a chance that that could happen, but it requires immense amount of class balance for that to happen. But I feel Blizzard can actually really do it. And if you actually look at the class changes for Battle for Azeroth, we're not going to look at all the like revamp in talents, revamp in spells, like the power of abilities changing. That's going to change. But if you actually look at the new spells that are being added, like for Priest, Power World Fortitude, for Mages, Arcane Intellect, things like raid-wide buffs, they're bringing those back. You can almost you can say this with confidence. They're going to give each class some kind of unique buffs. Now, which class is going to get really powerful ones is yet to be decided. But you can also see from the changes. That a lot of the gap closers and movement abilities are being reduced to some extent. Like, for example, Druids Displacer Beast has been changed to Tiger Dash. So Tiger Dash is now activates cat form and increases movement speed by 200%. So it is a movement ability, but it's not Displacer Beast, it's not teleport ability. You cannot use Tiger Dash to teleport over bad stuff. So it makes Druids a little bit harder to play. It's not class changing, but it's going to make them a little harder to play. To the same extent that what they did to Paladins, the Divine Steed cooldown has been increased. So it's 1 minute now. So maybe they want movement abilities to be less powerful. So you can from these changes you can kind of see class unique abilities are coming back. Movement speed or gap closers are going to be reduced. Maybe they're going to be more prevalent to specific classes, like mages with blink that they had forever. Maybe only mages are going to have blink. And things like, you know, AoE stuns. They mentioned in the blog post, AoE stuns like that. Right now, when you're doing a Mythic Plus or whatever, you don't even care if you're gonna have any AoE stun, because so many classes have them. But basically, you worry about not overlapping AoE stuns rather than deciding when to use which pack should be stunned. Like, they want classes to bring more unique abilities, and you're like, oh, we're gonna invite that Windwalker Monk because he has an AoE stun and no one else has it. So we're gonna bring that Windwalker Monk and he's gonna stun those ads. They're gonna stun those ads before the boss, and we can bypass that part really, really easily because we have a Windwalker Monk. I feel that they want this kind of a feel, but not making them feel overpowered is going to be really strong. Like I mentioned before, if Blizzard had said this like years ago, I don't think this was possible. But from what I've seen in Legion, from the class balances, I've done a lot of videos about class balances for single target, AoE, range, melee, healers, and I'm going to do a tank one. And you can see that there's only, like, class balance is really good. There's only few classes that are a little bit ahead of everyone else, but there's only very few of them. Healing balance has never been better than what it is right now. And I'm actually looking forward to unique class changes for healers. That's my most exciting thing. So, after checking out all these changes, let me know how you feel about this Battle for Azeroth class design. Let me know how you feel about your class. Do you want your class to have more unique abilities? Would you want to go back to the way that it used to be, where a class can bring a crazy amount of utility but might be worse at DPS? Do you want hybrid DPS classes to be competing in the top charts? Or do you want hybrid DPS classes to be a little bit lower in DPS but provide more utility, and the pure DPS classes being top of the meters? Do you want to go back to that style, or do you feel that Blizzard's way of, we're gonna give you unique spells, but you're not going to be overpowered or underpowered? Which style do you think is going to fit the most? I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you for watching this little video, and I'll see you next time.